What's up, fam? How are you guys doing this weekend? Or it's close enough, right? It's Friday, it's after 5, it's the weekend, baby. So I'm going to say, have a great weekend. Anyway, this is Dawnna St. Louis, and I am the C to the E to the O of Biz on Fire. And this week, I was actually out at the Facebook. I was actually at the NSA conference. I helped my girl Julie Holmes sell a whole bunch of Hey mics from her booth. She's an absolutely brilliant owner. And I told her, hey, what's up, Kathy? I told her I would be her booth bitch this week. So I was actually working her booth. And you know what? We went there. She had like a few hundred of these things to sell. And we actually ended up selling out the second day of a 4-day conference, totally sold out. I also did a few workshops this weekend, and those went extremely well. And then finally, there was something that I learned about myself this weekend, and it really gave me a new perspective on fear. And so I thought I would share that with you because it was kind of cool. There are very few things that scare me. I'm scared of like snakes and spiders and creepy crawly crap, sharks, jellyfish. I have a list anyway, but usually I'm not very afraid of very many things in what I would call the human realm, right? But this weekend, I actually got pretty freaking scared about something. It actually freaked me out a little bit. And it was something that I wasn't in control of. So what's up, Linda? What's up, Sanala? How are you guys doing? So I wanted to share what I learned about my fear and 10,000 people. So, as an international keynote speaker, and, a lot of my audience, a lot of people out there are either speakers or they want to be speakers. And, people always say, being in front of that big, crazy audience, right? Like you get in front of that audience and, oh my God, your heart must be beating out of your chest. Actually, for me, the bigger the audience is, the better. To me, it's just easier in front of a big audience. I love a big audience and a big stage. And I find that I do my best work in front of a big audience. And that's good for all you event planners out there to know. I work really well in front of a big audience. Anyway, and don't get me wrong, I do great in workshops, do great in small audiences, but I don't have the nerves that comes along that a lot of people talk about with big audiences. But one of the things that was happening this weekend is that I was getting auctioned off. So just in case y'all are like, slavery is illegal in the United States, Dawnna, so you shouldn't have been getting auctioned off. Just in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, one of the things that I'm a part of is this foundation called the Cigar Peg. In fact, part of the reason that my voice is somewhat gone is if you saw the pictures on Facebook, then you know that at least once a year I smoke cigars. And I smoke cigars at the Cigar Peg, which means, of course, that I completely, as a professional speaker should do, damage my vocal cords on the weekend. And I did at Cigar Peg. But one of the things they do is that they auction people off. And I was one of those people who was getting auctioned off. Now, I got to tell you, for me, there's nothing more nerve-wracking than something that I'm not in control of. And I wasn't in control of how much people would bid. As such, I started to get concerned. My ego started getting in the way. And I started thinking, oh my God, what if somebody like bids like $7 Twizzlers and a smack on the ass, and that's all I get, right? When people historically bid thousands of dollars, I was really, really honestly worried that I was going to be embarrassed, that nobody would actually bid on anything that I had to offer. And what I had to offer was one of the $1 million retreats, because you guys know I do like 10 of these $1 million retreats every year. And in fact, a lot of people that I work with or even talk to, like, for example, Jeff Ram was saying he wrote the nicest inscription that without the work that we did together, he and his new book would not have been at the main stage of NSA. And that was amazing. But anyway, I'm on stage, I'm getting ready to be auctioned off. And here's the funny thing. I have actually interjected myself in everyone's else auction trying to get the numbers up. And so it was my turn. It was almost my turn to be auctioned. And I pick up the phone and I call my friend and I said, I'm really freaked out about being auctioned off right now. And he was like, why? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, well, wait, hold on. Now, this is the important part, right? What would you learn from it? He goes, if you're auctioned off for $7, a Twizzler and a smack on the ass, what does that tell you? And I was like, I'm not valuable. He goes, or maybe you don't have value to that audience. Maybe you thought that was your audience and it's not your audience. And so it's a valuable lesson to learn. Albeit a public one, it's a valuable lesson to learn that maybe what you're offering is not valuable to that audience. And so maybe you should look for a different audience. Okay, I'll take that, right? And he said, now let's go the other way. What if you're auctioned off at one of the highest? What if you're like number 2 or what if you're one of the top? And I was the one of the top to be auctioned, one of the top money making amounts to be auctioned. And he said, what if you're at the highest rate? What does that tell you, right? Because, and honestly, I didn't think I was going to be auctioned off for as high as I went. And he goes, well, what does it tell you if you are? And then he said, and what does it tell you if you're in the middle? And so it was one of those things where now I was able to sit back from it and go, what can I learn from this? I'm not in control of it, which I'm not. I wasn't in control of it, but what could I learn from it? What is it that this would tell me about not only myself, but my audience, what I'm auctioning, the whole thing? So one of the things that I wanted to share with you was one of the ways to get past maybe a fear, something that's really like freaking you out that you're afraid of, is looking at the lesson that can be learned in that moment, especially when you're not in control of it, right? So of course, one of the things that we naturally do is go, what's the worst that could happen? And so the question is, okay, so if that really, really, really bad thing happened, what would you learn in that moment? If that really, really bad thing happened, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, being auctioned off for the lowest amount is not the worst thing that could happen on the planet, quite honestly. But what could I learn from it in that moment? So if that target audience of what I was offering, if I was not auctioned off at a good rate, then I was there, number 1, I don't have the expertise. Number 2, I had not been properly reaching my target audience. And 3, I was not offering something that they wanted. That is a lesson learned. If I was auctioned off at the highest, then now I'm thinking, okay, I have something that this target market really wants. Am I offering it enough or am I not? And maybe I should be doing more of that. And if I'm right in the middle, then my lesson learned is look who was before and look who was after me. What were they offering and what could I do differently for myself? It completely removed the fear that I was feeling and 100% put me into the moment. So that's something for you guys to think about when this happens. Now, I will tell you a huge lesson learned for me besides that, because that was a great way for me to kind of get out of the fear of, it's all about me moment to what could I learn from this moment. So that was a great lesson. Here was the other thing that I learned. And I learned this from other people, not from myself, by the way. Other people told me this, and I don't actually have the ego to carry this. If you want to know the truth, I don't. Contrary to what people might believe, I don't have the ego to carry what people are saying that I don't know is true. But one of the things that I do is, and you guys may have heard me talk about them, is I do these retreats, right? And so there are things that I've offered now that, quite honestly, I think I'm going to go away from offering, or I'm going to offer them differently, and I'm going to amp up some other things. Because one of the bigger things that I heard this week, more so than anything else, was, I know that I have a superpower. I know what my superpower is. And by the way, your expertise, your true expertise that meets your passion is when you take your superpower and you combine it with your thought leadership, you can actually develop a passion that has a purpose that gets you paid, right? And so one of the things that I'm doing that's completely different is I am now breaking down the strategies that we have into 4 different retreats. So now I'm going to offer 4 different new retreats. So the first retreat that we're offering is called Passion into Profits. And that is truly where we sit down. And I've sat down with people and done this. We identify what your expertise is, who wants that expertise, who's your target market, what is your superpower, how do you bring that to bear, how do you turn that into money, how do you really profit from that thing that you do the best. Like, what is that thing that you do so good? And you know what? I am a process person. And I sat with I sat with my friend Julie for maybe about an hour or two. And we did this thing and we came up with that one piece, which was what is truly her passion? What is her superpower? What area should she be working in as compared to what area she's working in? If you're a speaker right now and you're frustrated, you're just frustrated. Your target market isn't getting it. You have a hard time with your message. You're not getting hired. You're not making the money. If you're having any of those problems at all, you're not working within your expertise. You're not working within your passion to make the profits. God's honest truth. So there's your number one problem. And that's one of the things that I hear speakers all the time. Well, as soon as I figured this out, and I'm like, as soon as you figure that out, it's probably, I hope it's right. Because your chance of really getting it right without going through a process is not that good. So anyway, you're going to be hearing from me soon. We're actually doing our very first one, September 14th through 17th. Passion of Profits boot camp workshop. It's 3 days, so it's that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm super excited from it, and at the end of the day, we got to get 10 people. If there's 10 people in it, it's totally worth it. If there's not 10 people in it, then we're gonna get back money. Like, it's that simple, right? But if we get 10 people in it, it's totally worth it, and we're looking for 10 people who really, really, really want to know what it is that they're supposed to be doing. And let me tell you, I ate that dog food, dude. I was the person who I was like the women in business, and then I did the innovation, and then I did the sales, and then I decided to eat my own dog food. And I was like, oh shit, it's entrepreneurship like nobody's business, because that's what I do. And not only do I do it well for myself, I teach people how to be multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs, or just have a lifestyle business. I don't always say multi-million dollar, because quite honestly, some people don't want that. Some people just want to make enough money to be happy and comfortable, and they don't want to do the extra work. And that's fine, because sometimes the more money you make, the more work you have to do. I'm just saying. So anyway, the thing that I learned this weekend is, and somebody told me this, and it's quite humbling, and I am coming to terms with it, or coming to grips with it, or in trying to understand it and not let it get so big that my head can't, like I have to check my head before I go on an airline, because it's just so, it's so ego blown. Is someone said the value of being in the room with me was extraordinary. And when they said it, I was like, but you could just call me. Like, that was my very first answer. You could just call me. It's cool. But they were saying, no, I've talked to you on the phone, but there is a value of being in the room with you, because it's not just what you hear on the phone. It's what you see when you look at me. It's the things that you recognize about me that I don't recognize about myself. It's like you see me. And I do say that I know that I see people, right? I see people. And it's like you see me, you see the talent that I bring, you see the stuff that I do. And I got to tell you, that's one of the bigger values of these weekends, because it is people have an expertise that they bring to the table that they don't even realize that they bring to the table. And it's not the thing that they're telling me. It's the things that they're doing, that I'm observing, that I'm watching, that I'm writing down, that I'm paying attention to, that I'm going, but why aren't you doing that? Because that is your light. That is what makes you a luminary. That is what makes you passionate. I mean, when you talk about this, you're passionate about it. Why aren't you doing more of that? Why aren't you bringing that to the table so that people can experience your gift? And someone said being in the room with me was one of the things that they found that was way more valuable than anything that I did online. And so with that said, that's why I'm going to do more of these. And it wasn't just one person, there were several people. It's a bit of a weight for me to carry, quite honestly, to believe that. I honestly have a very hard time believing it, but I'm still going to listen to what other people say, just like I ask people to listen to what I say. And I'm going to do more of these retreats. And they're going to be 3-day retreats. They're limited. We only, and this is a cool thing. I hate hotels. You guys, anybody who knows me knows that I hate staying in hotels. I really, really do. So we're doing them in mansions. So I only do them in $1 million mansions. So we only do $1 million mansion retreats. And so, of course, you hear the $1 million price tag. But what really comes down to is I need people to get in the mindset of not being in a hotel and going from hotel to hotel, but being in a mansion and going, this is your life. This is your future. This is where you're going to be next. This is the lifestyle you deserve to live. And this is where you want to be. So that's the whole thing behind the mansion. But because the mansions have such limited space, we're going to allow 8 people, like if it's a 10-bedroom mansion, we'll allow 8 people to stay on site, and then anyone else is going to have to get an off-site. And then we're trying to do the price point where the price point makes sense. So the price point is going to be $2,500 if you stay in your own hotel, and it's going to be $3,750 if you decide to stay in the mansion. And it's the whole experience, right? So everything's included, but it's the whole experience, not only of the mansion, but everything that goes along with it, including like this, the one that we're doing first is going to be your positioning statement, your expertise, your talent, your thought leadership, your methodology, how you bring that together for your perfect target market and how you turn that into profits. That is what we're going to do for this 3-day weekend coming up in September. And I'm really excited about it. Anyway, it's September 14th to the 17th. And I'm actually listening to people who said, Dawnna, there's a huge value of being in the room with you. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give that a shot. So anyway, there were a lot of lessons learned. And that was a lesson that I learned this weekend. If you guys are interested in London, PM me. There is going to be another one coming up in Orlando. I think we're going to do Orlando we're either going to, I know it's going to sound crazy. We're either going to do Orlando or Seattle in October, because I have an event coming up with Starbucks in Seattle in October. So we're going to do one in September. It looks like we're going to do one in October. And someone asked me about doing one in August, but it's already July. And I just don't know that I'm going to get 10 people that want to do an event in August so soon. But anyway, if this is something that you're interested in, please PM me and let me know. And again, it was the big lesson learned for me was, how do you take a fear and then recognize a lesson that you can learn from that fear and then move on from that. That was like a really big lesson for me this week. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, because I know I am. I don't plan to do any more work this weekend, except for maybe sending you guys information so you'll know about the retreat that's coming up before the people who are working with me get really mad and lose their mind. Anyway, PM me if you want to know about the retreat, though. There's one and I thought the tickets to go to London were going to be really expensive, but quite honestly, to go from LaGuardia was only like $800 round trip. That was nothing. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a fantastic one.